Hello and welcome to another episode of Dark and Stormy Book Club. Today we are going to visit with two more nominees for Agatha Awards. The first we are going to visit is Korina Moss. She is nominated for an Agatha for her book Cheddar Off Dead. And then we will talk with Fleur Bradley, and she is nominated for the Best Young Adult or Children's Book for her book, Daybreak on Raven Island. Enjoy!
I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Well, we have two very exciting announcements to make, and we couldn't be thrilled. It's like the best week ever. We received a new patron this week, and we have this little thing on our website. It's called a tip jar, and it doesn't get utilized as much as we'd love to see it get utilized, but this week it was.
Yes, it was. Very lovely donation from friend of the show, Joan Long. Now, she is a nominee for an Agatha Award, and she was in last week's episode. Now, that is not a prerequisite to be on our program.
It's just a bonus.
It's a bonus. It was a complete surprise. So any of you authors out there who want to be on the program, you do not have to give us a tip. But if you'd like to, it's on our website.
And then we had a new patron. Her name is Jan H. from Illinois. And because she's a new patron, this is her official shout out, and we would shout it from the rooftops. We love
Welcome, Jan. Yay.
Yeah, we love when we get a new patron. She will get her swag that's associated with the amount that she's committed to, and she will now receive all of the video episodes that we have just started doing. Which,
all one.
Yes, that seem to be very popular. So welcome, Jan.
Yes.
We hope we can keep you entertained.
All right. Very good. So that's all our catch-up news.
And if you'd like to become a patron,
you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Dark and Stormy Book Club.
And if you'd like to put something in our little tip jar, you can go to darkstormybc.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see all kinds of wonderful stuff, but there will be our tip jar.
Yes. And we thank Joan and we welcome Jan, and we look forward to meeting Joan at Malice Domestic. We are pleased to welcome to the program Korina Moss. She is nominated for an Agatha for a Best First Novel for her book, Cheddar Off Dead. Welcome, Korina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, this is your best first, but I noticed that you have other books too.
I do. That came after this.
Oh,
it's the same in the series. I have my third one already is coming out next month, March 28th. So, yes.
That one.
Yes. So I have Cheddar Off Dead. That's the best first novel that was nominated. Then 6 months later, Gone for Gouda came out. And then Curds of Prey will be arriving.
I sense a theme.
Yes, they are
very cheesy title.
They are, yes, they are the Cheese Shop Mystery Series. And I have contract for 3 more after that. So I'm already written book 4.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
You're pumping them out. Wow.
Give us a little elevator pitch about what your book's about. We haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, they're the Cheese Shop Mystery Series. They're cozy mysteries, and they're set in a fictional small town in the Sonoma Valley of California. And Willa Bauer is the main character. She has just opened a new cheese shop in town. And so in Cheddar Off Dead, she invites the fellow business owners to come to a cheese making class. And then a food critic comes and decides he's not going to like her shop no matter what. The other people who are there have known him, and so they have words, and it just ruins the whole event. And later on, she finds him dead with one of her cheese shop knives in his neck. And so,
as you will,
as one does in an idyllic town. She then decides, her freedom's on the line, her shop is on the line, and so she's going to figure out who killed him. And so she kind of enlists the help of her 2 shop employees, who the shop is very important to them too for their own reasons. She has Mrs. Schultz, who is smack dab in her 60s. She's a widowed, retired, former drama high school teacher. And then 19-year-old Archie, who's kind of a very energetic, eager kid who's also working there. And then her neighbor, Baz. She lives above her shop in a little apartment. And Baz lives next door above the hardware store. He's a handyman. So that's kind of the team that goes along in this series, solving the murders that pop up.
I really wish one of our other co-hosts was here, because she's a cozy writer and she would have had a lot to talk to you about. Are you coming to Malice?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. I was there last year for my first Malice, and it was very exciting meeting all the authors and seeing the ones that I've spoken to on Facebook and whatnot, and just meeting all of them and seeing the other panels. I was on my first panel, and then being at that.
Which panel was it? Because we were there.
I was on the panel that was the how your protagonist uses technology, which funnily enough, yes,
I could have used that
in there, right? And how you use it in your books, because now there's so much technology. It's kind of hard to be an amateur sleuth. You could just write a book saying, well, she sat down and looked everything up practically,
yeah.
Or it's hard to get into a situation where if you have a cell phone and you can call for help. So you kind of have to work around those. And some writers who kind of have even younger protagonists or are very more technically savvy and trendy tend to use that technology more. I kind of write old school, even though my protagonist is 33. I try to kind of keep the technology out of it and keep it a little more cozy, but it's hard to do and be believable, because obviously anybody's going to use some element of technology. So that was fun. And then I went to the banquet, which was exciting. I was invited to sit with Mally Becker, who was nominated last year. So that was so exciting to be at her table and see that excitement for her nomination. So I'm thrilled to be coming back as a nominee myself. I can't believe it.
Yes, it's so exciting. So what did you do when you found out you were nominated?
I think I stayed in shock for a little bit. And of course, we get an email a couple days before, and you're not allowed to say anything until it's all announced. So it was a little hard to keep to myself. I think I told a couple of my family members that I knew wouldn't say anything. And then, of course, I had a lot to do. I was finishing book 4 up still, but I spent the better part of the day, answering messages and emails and phone calls. It was very, very nice. It was wonderful.
Wonderful. Now, I have a question for you. Why a cheese shop?
Well, cozy mysteries are just that. They're cozy, and that's what the reader expects. And so they all have a theme of some kind, whether it's, mine's a cheese shop, it might be knitting, it might be a bakery. what have you. And you want that element to be feel good and cozy. And cheese is one thing that's, it's comforting. You make a cheesy meal when you want a comforting meal, but it's also communal because at a party, there's always a cheese plate or a cheese board or something like that. And that's what cozies are. They're filled with community. Even though there's a murder, I like to call it a nice murder. My son laughs at that because it's really about solving the puzzle. The murder is off screen. It's never gory. We don't focus on that necessarily. We just focus on what happens after that and kind of restoring justice. And the reader comes back, when it's a series, and that's why cozies are always series, is they come back not just for a good mystery, but to revisit the characters that they feel like are friends, to revisit the town that they love, that always has a sense of community. And I think cheese kind of represents that. And plus, most people don't just have a so-so feeling about cheese. People either really love cheese or there's a small few who don't like cheese, but most of them, they see my books and immediately, even before reading the back cover, they're like, oh, cheese, oh my gosh, I love cheese. And that'll make them pick it up in the first place, and think about reading it. But they have said that there should be a warning on them that you need to have cheese with you, because I do have a lot of cheese descriptions in there. And my protagonist makes some cheesy dishes that I have some of the recipes for at the back.
Oh, okay.
Good.
We'll
That's
be in
my
touch.
next question.
We put out a newsletter that we have a cozy cuisine section that we take recipes out of cozies and put it in our newsletter.
Fantastic. Well, all mine they each have 3 recipes in it. So feel free.
Good. We will be in touch.
Yeah. I've had some of my readers make them and post them on Instagram and whatnot.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's always fun to see and hear, how they've enjoyed it. So I like that.
Now, is this the only thing that you write, is this series?
Right now it is, yes. I've had a couple of short stories in anthologies in the past. I think that was right in the beginning when I started this series, and then I just haven't had time to do other things.
Yeah,
so.
If you've got 4 books written already.
Right. They're coming out every 6 months, so it's been a lot. Now that I'm in the last 2 of this last contract, you never know if you're going to get another contract until you hand in the last one. So I'm already thinking of what else I might do for the just in case period. And also, even if I do continue on, I would like, now that I'm in the swing of things as far as writing, in the beginning I was just a little overwhelmed, but now I feel a little more able to think about what else I might do.
Do you have in your head plot line where your protagonist can go further?
Yes, I have definitely. There's always an arc with all the relationships that go along all of the books. And so, yes, I definitely have ones that she can still, there's some backstory there that I can tap into for her if it continues on. So yeah, I always have that.
Do you do this full time, or do you have another?
I have a part-time job teaching online English as a second language to students in China.
Wonderful.
So that's very early in the morning because of the time difference. And so I get up at like 5:30 and I do that till about 9. And then I have the day to write.
That's great. You're still teaching and learning, and you should have them read your books.
Well, actually, one of my students just said today they weren't able to get it over in China. It wasn't sold over there. One of my students just said today that his mother was very excited to see it, and so they just ordered it. And so he was super excited. So yeah, I'm thrilled that they're because they're very excited for me. The students are great.
Very good. Well, Korina, we look forward to meeting you there. And
yes, I can't wait to see you. All of you will be there?
All of us.
All 3 of us?
And you can't miss us, because you might have even seen us at last year's banquet, because we always wear matching dresses.
I think I do remember you. Now that you say that, I absolutely do remember you. Yes. Well, good. Excited to see you there. That'll be great.
If we don't see you, be sure and come up and introduce
you. You bet I will. Yes, absolutely. I'll be stalking you. Don't worry.
Good. We like to be stalked.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks for talking with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We thank Korina for talking with us. Now we're going to talk to Fleur Bradley. We are pleased to welcome to the program Fleur Bradley, She's nominated for an Agatha for her Best Children or Young Adult Mystery for her book, Daybreak on Raven Island.
Ooh,
Welcome, Fleur.
I love that title.
Yes,
thank
me
you.
too.
Can you give us a little elevator pitch for your book?
Yeah. It's about these three kids that go on a field trip to Raven Island, which is modeled after Alcatraz. And they go on the ferry and they miss the ferry back. So then they have to spend the night on Raven Island, and there's lots of scary stuff going on. They got lots of ghosts. There's a ghost hunting crew that's there. There's an abandoned prison. And in the meantime, there's also a murder mystery because, I love mysteries. So that's what it is. So yeah, so kind of think, Alfred Hitchcock for kids. It's a little bit scarier than my previous novel, Midnight at the Barclay Hotel. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. The kids have to spend a night there, solve the murder mystery, and they sort of have a lot of their own personal things going on. One of the kids has a brother in prison, so she's kind of sad about that. One of the kids is super anxious, so he writes down things that he's afraid of in his notebook and kind of conquers his fears. And then one of the kids loves to make movies, so he constantly tries to kind of look for scary scenes and scary spots to film his movie that he's trying to make. He's trying to make a scary horror movie.
So fascinating.
That's so funny. I was just sitting here thinking, I have a son who is anxious and has Asperger's, and he journals constantly. And you pinned it. You got it perfect.
One of my kids, she has extreme anxiety, and that's one of the things, that helps sometimes. And it's hard to overcome. And I wanted to give a little bit of an angle of that, sort of think about, okay, if you are spending the night on a scary, spooky, haunted island, the worst thing possible is if you have severe fears and anxiety, of course. So,
right.
Yes, that was I don't want to say fun, but it was a great sort of positioning of the character versus the setting and trying to get the most out of all of that.
When someone of an age is reading that story, seeing how someone else deals with that kind of thing, but then your movie person is enjoying, whereas someone else is like really fearing, and seeing the different ways. It's one of the reasons that I love younger books.
Well, also, as a parent, if you don't deal with that particular, if you don't have anxiety, you're right. It brings light into something like that. And I love that you added that to your mystery.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, books are a great place for us to explore things that are difficult to deal with. And it allows you to do it kind of on your own without someone judging you, without someone expecting things of you. And you can kind of see, okay, this kid is dealing with it this way. Is that something I could do something with? Or, you can, as an author, carefully sort of go, well, how about this or how about that? That's what's great about writing for kids, is that you have that opportunity to do that. And for this book, what was fun also is that the three kids are not the kind of kids that would sit together in the cafeteria.
I love it.
It's so much fun to go, okay, you have this cool kid who likes to make movies. You have this sporty girl who plays soccer. You have this anxious new kid in town who always looks like he's, his pants are too short because he's outgrown whatever clothes he had. And so those three would never be friends. Would you have them in a normal school environment? But because they're kind of thrown together, they become friends. So it's also a good way to kind of show kids that, hey, you might want to give that person who's not at all like you another chance, because that's how I make some of my best friends, and my closest friendships are not necessarily with people who are just like me, but they're people that kind of challenge me in a way.
Bring a different perspective. Don't always only align yourself with people who you agree with. Find that you do agree with other people who have nothing in common with you, that doesn't mean that they don't have similar life experiences, just from a different perspective.
Exactly. And that's holds true for adults, but kids, you have such an opportunity because you're around people who are not like you in school. There's just everybody's thrown together. So I know that books for kids don't, an adult, and you don't always feel like reading books that are written for kids, but there's some really good ones being published now.
Yes.
And what's so great about the Agathas is that there's a category for kids. So it shows that, hey, the mystery community cares about books for kids because it's how we grow our future mystery readers.
Yes.
If we get kids hooked on mysteries when they're kids, then maybe they'll grow up and become mystery fans as adults. So that's always
absolutely. Some of these young adult authors, they're really up in their game. There are some pretty deep subjects that they're tackling in a mystery.
Yeah. And I think mysteries also give kids an opportunity to kind of see that even if something is a big problem or a big puzzle, by investigating and just using whatever is your superpower. So we all have our things that we're good at. If you take those things and apply them to a problem, you can solve it. And that includes a mystery and whatever, story we have. So if you're good at reading, for instance, you might bring some sort of quality to the story where you read something in a book and that's helped solve the mystery.
Yes.
Or for kids who maybe aren't so much into books, they bring other things. They may have great analytical skills, or they're really brave, or it's fun to take a mystery story framework and really show kids, hey, you know what, whoever you are and whatever your background is and whatever you're good at, you can solve a mystery too. And that's really fun as an author to do. It's just make kids excited about feeling empowered, basically, having autonomy.
Are you going to make this into a series?
It's a standalone. So the book before this one was Midnight at the Barclay Hotel, which is kind of like an Agatha Christie style mystery. That one was nominated for an Agatha as well. That one is a little bit younger, and this one's a little bit scarier, so it's a little bit older. So they were kind of twins with the same publisher, standalones, but sort of a little nod to each other. And now I am out on submission with another mystery that's kind of a scary mystery with ghosts in it. So hopefully that will find a home.
And that will be for young adults as well?
Yes, well, I'm sort of 8 to 12, but yeah.
8 to 12, yeah.
Now, will we be able to meet you at Malice?
Not this year. There's a conference at the same time that I already committed to speaking at, so I couldn't go. So I'm gonna miss it because I really wanted to come this year. Finally in person again. It's been so with COVID and everything. It's just been years, and this one has been on my dream list just because I love cozy mysteries.
Have you been to Malice before?
No, I've just done the online Malice before, so I would love to come in person because I've heard that it's such a wonderful conference.
It is.
It's a blast.
If you get a chance, you've got to come.
Yeah, I'm hoping next year. That would be fun. Yeah.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
And we'll remind you of that.
Yeah, you. Say, Fleur, you said you were coming. And
yeah. I'll say, excuse me, I really hope you haven't signed up for anything else because we're over here waiting for you, Fleur.
Exactly.
We're holding the drinks, waiting for you.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
There you go. We'll meet you at the bar.
Yeah.
Well, Fleur, we wish you all the best with your books. And thank you for talking with us. And you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Trivia. Last week's question was, High Tower Court building had what influence on author Michael Connelly? A. He thought it was haunted. B. He wanted to feature it in his book. C. He wanted to live there. Or D. He wanted it renamed. The answer is C. He wanted to live there. After moving to Los Angeles, Connelly went to see High Tower Court, where Raymond Chandler's character Philip Marlowe lived in his 1942 novel, The High Window, and Robert Altman had used for his film The Long Goodbye. Connolly got the manager of the building to promise to phone him if an apartment ever became available. 10 years later, the manager tracked Connolly down, and Connolly decided to rent the place. The apartment served as a place to write for several years. This week's question is, author Harlan Coben made a deal with whom in 2016 to adapt 14 of his novels into film? A. Fox Entertainment, B. Paramount, C. Blue Sky Productions, or D. Netflix. Tune in next week for the answer. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. We thank you for listening. We wish Korina and Fleur all the best luck with their nomination. We wish all these lovely people could win. Of course, it doesn't work that way. We thank you for joining us. We hope you join us next week. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery. Bye.